Hi, it's Angela Vassallo, and I am on the Conquer Club podcast with Kevin and Tonya Stout. And it's been an awesome interview today. Love being on here. These guys are amazing. We spoke all about my business, about reinventing yourself, how to stack the odds in your favor, and how to bounce back faster to have more success in your life. So really looking forward to getting this out there. And I know that if there's anything that you are struggling with at the moment by reinventing yourself and what the next steps are in your chapter or your life, you're really going to love this episode.
Your message equals your $1,000,000 anthem. You don't have a sales problem, you have a message problem. If your words don't captivate, they don't convert. I have helped Grammy-winning artists craft unforgettable songs, and now we help entrepreneurs just like you craft your business messaging that actually sells.
You don't need more hustle, you need the right strategy. I help scale multi-million-dollar companies, and we can show you exactly how to systemize, scale, and dominate the market without drowning in the grind. Welcome to the Conquer Club podcast. Have you ever felt stuck in the same cycle, working hard but not seeing the success you know you're capable of? What if the real key to success isn't working harder, but reinventing yourself? Today, we sit down with Angela Vassallo, a powerhouse entrepreneur who has built and sold a 7-figure restaurant business, written a best-selling book, and now helps ambitious women pivot into their next chapter without burnout. If you've been wondering how to stack the odds in your favor, stop spinning your wheels, and finally step into an alignment with your purpose, this episode is for you.
Hi, Angela.
Hi guys. Great to see you.
Great to see you. We are on a time zone difference. It's evening here and morning there in Australia, right?
It is. It's morning here, and it's a beautiful day here in Sydney, Australia. And I have to say, this is the first time I have been on a podcast in the States. So I'm very excited. And Nashville, of all places.
Oh, yeah. I actually have goosebumps right now hearing that.
Beautiful.
Oh, Angela. Well, we have had the pleasure of being in the same rooms with you,
Yes.
in some entrepreneurial circles, in some black card, really high level mastermind groups with you. And it is such an honor to be your first one right here in Music City, USA. So you are truly a powerhouse, as Kev said, dynamic entrepreneur, a best-selling author, and a keynote speaker, as we know. And you've built this 7-figure business, sold it. You've graced major US talk shows as well, and been featured in publications like Huffington Post, and now the founder of this cool Reinvention formula, which we'll go a little bit deeper on, guys. You're in for a treat. And now you're helping women pivot with confidence, leverage their strengths, and create a business that's aligned with what you do, and you're wildly successful. So in your art of reinvention, what was the defining moment, you would say, Angela, that made you realize it was time to pivot into a new purpose in your life?
Thanks, Tonya. I appreciate all that, guys. Kevin, that's a really lovely intro. Look, I think the first thing is that I have done so many different careers, and I have pivoted many times. And I guess along the way, I've probably been the one that's taken the road less traveled. I've seen a lot of my friends and, my husband's friends all sort of stay in the same career their entire lives and do the right thing. And I know they look at me at times and think, gosh, she just must be crazy. What is she doing now? But, I found that, through my life is that I would just, it's about figuring out what you really want to do. And sometimes you might start somewhere and then you might spend a certain amount of years in something, and then you get what you need out of that.
Yes.
And then you think to yourself, this doesn't align with me anymore. And
Ah,
there's power in pivoting. Some people think
yes.
it's like you're giving up, or you're like, you're quitting something. It's completely the opposite. I think when you're not in alignment anymore with whatever career path that you're going down, you don't have to feel, like you are quitting, or you are giving up. Just understand that there's power in pivoting. So that's why I have pivoted, and now I'm teaching others how they can do the same as well.
Ah, Angela, you're pulling at my heartstrings, sister.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, I have had a few landmark pivots in my own life, in my own career.
Mhm.
Songwriting is my background, and then
Yeah.
design business. But I do
Yeah.
believe, as just creatives in general,
Yes.
and business women and
Yeah.
men, it's allowing or giving permission that it is okay. Once you have
Yes.
squeezed enough water out of that towel,
Yeah.
you're good, right?
That's
It
right.
served its purpose,
It
and
served its
it's,
purpose. Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm.
So beautiful for people to hear that, to say it's okay to
Yeah.
pivot, guys.
Yeah. And the power of that is also learning to take whatever skill set you've learned from that and take it to the next journey, into the next career or the next thing that you do.
Absolutely.
That is fantastic. You may be putting the cart out in front of the horse here, because I do want to know, so many of us, so we just feel trapped in our current
Mhm.
careers or businesses.
Mm.
What would you encourage them, or what would be the first step for someone that they should take when they're needing to change, but they simply just feel stuck?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a really good question, Kevin. I think I ran this event last year, how to go from stuck to unstoppable, because I
Mm.
believe that's how a lot of people feel. And I know I have felt like that for many years. I know when I was running the restaurants in the last 12 months or so, I felt completely stuck. I just knew it
Mm.
didn't align with me anymore. I was, creating an exit strategy, but it just takes such a long time. And I think sometimes for people to move out of a career or a business or do a change, it is a process. It can be
Yeah.
like a certain amount of time to move through. But what I would recommend is start now anyway. Start
Mm.
before you're ready. Do something on the side that you really want to do. So I was still exiting the restaurants, and had already started this. I had already joined, the group with Eileen Wilder, and the mastermind group, because I thought I just wanted to get around the people that were doing the things that I wanted to do. And given I may not have had all of the 24 hours a day, or a full working week that I could put into it, the time into it, I just thought I wanted to get started. So I was in the process of learning and figuring out what I wanted to do next, while I still had one foot in the door in the restaurant. So I would just recommend doing that. Like, as much as you can, try to start to sort of exit out if you want to pivot, and
Yeah.
start to figure out, put yourself in arenas, like find the coaches and the mentors that can actually help you, or who are doing what you want to do. And there's so many of them out there who are amazing, who can really help you figure out what you want and step into the next chapter.
I love that. So
It's so good, Angela. Kevin, were you going to say something, babe?
yeah, I would say, so I love what you just shared in regards to finding a coach, having a coach
Yeah.
on what
Yeah.
you love.
Yeah.
There's so many different platforms out there. We all have our own different interests. We have our own different passions that's been built into us, but
Yeah.
there's someone else that's a chapter or two out in front of you. So love that. Just take the action and listen. So many of us are doing what you already did do, which is you were still in your restaurant focused
Mm-hmm.
mindset, knowing you felt stuck, but you were starting to take action to make a exit plan. So I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
And just how
Definitely.
you said, Angela, I mean, you were still doing the thing. They say
Yeah.
how you exit one thing is how you enter the next. So
Yeah.
you
It's
were
a great, that's a
exiting
great
that with
point.
integrity. You
Mm-hmm.
were doing everything that needed to do to close that chapter well. I think a lot of times people think it's all or nothing. We did the same thing when we stepped in this business consulting and coaching space. I was doing my design job, and still had all the balls in the air, with
Yeah.
a knowing in our future that
Mm-hmm.
it was going to be worth it. It would be worth
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
And Angela, you talk about stacking the odds in your favor. Can you
Absolutely.
break that down just in
Mm.
some practical ways for our entrepreneur listeners and ways they could start doing it right now? What are some things that you did outside of hiring a coach? Coaches need coaches. What did
Hmm.
you do outside of that?
You know, one of the things I really believe that I've been good at over the years is stacking the odds in my favor, because I believe everything that I've done or gone into, I have never been the best at. I've never been the
Mm,
smartest. I've never been able to sort of, it's always been the difficult things. And even like starting the restaurants, or even when I wrote the book, didn't have all the skill sets before I started. But what I understood was that I needed to figure out how I could stack the odds in my favor so if I'll give you an example, when I was running the restaurants, there were we own chicken restaurants, right? So there were some very, very successful ones here in our country. And I just looked at what they were doing, and we had no real idea what we were doing in the beginning before we got started. We were just entrepreneurs and we wanted to run a business, and we sort of started it and everything. But what I did figure out was that none of them were really marketing well. Okay, none of them were really out there marketing. And I found a really good coach and mentor that taught me how to do really great videos and really great marketing strategies. So we literally hit like Google #1. I was putting excellent content out there. We were just smashing it, bringing a lot of people in. We sponsored the Parramatta Eels, which is a football team here, and I just put myself in the arena to win.
mm,
So I just went for it because I thought I have to be out there, and that I may not have, they've got 30 years experience. Families have passed these restaurants down. They've got like a great reputation and a great following. How can I compete with that? How can I stack the odds in my favor? Well, one of them I knew that I could get good at marketing. And then one of them I knew that I could get out there and start networking and start to really attract. So we got clever with the way that we did things like that. So stacking the odds in your favor can be many things. Like I said, it can be a business coach. It can be about, doing the personal development growth that you're going to need. It's about finding out who can help you along the way, finding out, who's somebody that I can ask for help and advice. I mean, those two words I was told by a mentor many years ago. If you want to find out what somebody ahead of you has already done, just ask for their help and advice. And most
That's
people
great.
will always be happy to give you their help, to offer their help and give you their advice. So that's one way, or a few ways, that I've actually been able to help stack the odds in my favor to be able to succeed.
so good. So good.
That
I mean,
is.
because everything you've said is so many times I say this, that it's the start that stops you. You think you have to have it all figured out, but
Mm,
you don't. It is figure outable when
yes.
you say yes. I said
Yes.
yesterday to a friend that I was talking to, when you say yes to the next thing,
Yeah.
in the word yesterday is behind you.
Mm.
Yes to the next thing and bye to the yesterday.
Oh, that's a
So
great one, Tonya. Yeah,
I
that's so
just,
true.
it's so true, right?
Yeah, very
So,
good.
so
Yes, yes, yeah.
that's
And
what you've done so beautifully.
yeah, yeah. And it's all figure outable. I mean, Marie Forleo wrote a book called Everything is Figure
Yes.
Outable, right?
Yep.
And
That's
that's
good.
what I believe as well, because you don't have to have all the answers before you start. And I think people put this pressure on themselves that they need to be perfect. They need to figure it all out. They need to have their ducks in a row, the perfect timing, all of these things, which we all know just doesn't exist. There's no such thing as perfect timing or ducks in a row. It's just literally getting started. And, when you do get started and you do say, I'm going to figure this out. And I remember there was a time when we were running the restaurants, and we had just started, and I stuffed up all of these sales, like these orders, sorry, of like fruit and veg orders that were coming in. And I kept making mistake after mistake because I didn't know what I was doing, and the orders weren't coming in. We had no fruit and veg for all the salads that day. So I had to go down to the shopping center myself, walk down there and start buying all the food. I remember walking down there crying, thinking, what
Yeah.
have I done? I've made the biggest mistake of my life. This is like, what am I doing? And I remember thinking, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to, I'm only just right in the beginning. And by the time I got down to the grocery store, I remember thinking to myself, Angela, I don't know how you're going to do this, but you're going to figure this out. And then by the
That,
time I came back, I just got onto this person who helped me. We had a system in place for that. And we worked out how I can get these orders sorted. And that's the thing you just have to do. At times, you just have to figure it out and take the pressure off yourself that you need to have all the answers before you get started. Because just consider this, like, how would you have all the answers? You've never done it before. It's something new. Just acknowledge that and know that you're going to fail at times. You're going to fall flat on your face. You're going to play the fool. All of these things are going to happen, and just accept that. And once you accept that, that's going to happen. It's part of entrepreneurship, and it's part of, starting a business or stepping into something new. That awful feeling of being uncomfortable and all of that. Eventually, you'll get better. But don't ever expect to be great at it in the beginning. And that's a mindset you need to accept in the beginning,
right.
that's the way it's going to be.
That is fantastic. So I will say we've mentioned the word powerhouse 2 or 3 times already about Angela, and I think it's been validated right there. Yeah. Don't give up. Keep going. How am I going to do this? You just kept taking one step after another. So, Ange, we know you have built and sold a 7-figure restaurant business, which is certainly no easy feat.
No.
What would you say is your biggest lesson you learned from the experience that anyone can apply to their own business?
Do you know, I think the biggest thing I have learned is the word resourcefulness. I became extremely resourceful, meaning that I just decided that I don't have all the answers. And if I was resourceful, meaning I had to figure things out, I would just find out a way to do it. So, and I think that's the thing about resourcefulness. I think that even like Anthony Robbins says, don't ask for more resources. Ask how I can become more resourceful. And they recently did a study, and I think it was with the it's with I can't remember right now, but they just did this big study. And what they found was that the key trait that most entrepreneurs and business owners are looking for people in their business is resourcefulness. And it's not necessarily, like all the degrees and everything like that. They are looking for people that are resourceful, because the way the world is going now, you can literally get online and figure anything out that you want. The answers are there, with Chat GPT, with Google and all of these things at our fingertips. You need to just become resourceful. And I always say to people, like, especially my staff members, don't come to me with problems. Come to me with the problem and two things to solve it. And that's how you have to think, I think, especially in business and life, is like, how can I be resourceful? And I teach my son this as well. Be resourceful in life. Like, if this door closes, okay, what's the next thing? Let's figure this out. Let's work a way around it. And but I believe resourcefulness and getting very good at that has been the thing that if there was a problem, become a problem solver, figure it out, solve the problem, move on to the next thing.
That's right. It is, and as we've learned, Angela, and we know as business owner, is to figure it out. Or there's a who that already has figured it out, which is why they hire you as a coach and a consultant, because they don't have to learn from their own mistakes. They can learn from what you've had mistakes. And really, as we say, and I don't remember who quoted this, but I know we've said it for a while, failure is just feedback. That's all it is. And that's just a mindset. So shifting gears, because mindset is so powerful just in everything, business, life, family, relationships. You wrote a book, or it's called The Second Wife's Guide.
Yeah.
Right? What inspired you to write that? And how did that book, speaking of resources, how did that book open up doors for you?
Well, that book came from, I married my husband, who had been married before and had 2 children. So I stepped into this world of, like, he was, he's 7 years older than me, and he'd been married before and had these 2 young kids who were I think they were 6 and 4 at the time, Jack and James. And it was like a world we didn't know. We were sort of like all still, living with friends, like, renting and all of that. And he, was a different world than me. And And I remember like all of the I thought I went in with rose-colored glasses. I thought everything was going to be fine. Everyone will love me and everything's going to be great. And it didn't happen. It was like very, very, I was very naive. I was 27. And I remember like going, wow, like it was just such a tricky situation in so many ways. And like when I wrote the book, we'd been together for 10 years. And I remember my friends coming to me who had met men, we were meeting men that had been married before and had children. They were coming to me for advice and everything. So I thought, wow, there's nothing really out there to help women like us who are in a blended family, who are step parenting, who are meeting men that have been married before. Because let's face it, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you're going to meet a person that's probably been in a marriage or has children at that age. And I just wanted to help women sort of dodge a bullet or two. Like I had made the mistakes. I'm thinking, well, maybe if I wrote this book and did these case studies of other women's stories, then we wrote this book and we sort of could put that out there to help women through this, because I knew that people needed that advice. And so that was my idea of writing this book. But then again, I never knew how to write a book. So I got around a group that, I had a mentor that showed me how to, be able to do a framework around how to write a book. And, this book did well. And then after that, I was introduced to a publicist in New York. And then he said, oh, this is a great story. He said, because 1 in 4 at the time are blended families. And 1 in 4 families were blended. And he said, like, come over and give your advice and stuff. So I was just like taken straight over there and put straight onto all of these talk shows. I mean, we went to Austin, we went to Dallas, and we did New York, and we did like all LA and all these places over there. And it was like completely outside of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm coming from Sydney, never written a book before, and, and just giving my advice and my experience, my life experience. But that experience people needed to hear, and they wanted to hear, and they were interested in it. So that's how the book evolved from there.
That's amazing. Didn't it become something amazing, like another level of best-selling?
Yeah.
You
Look,
were on national
yeah.
Tell us, just give us a cliff note of that.
Well, the book did really well, and that went. And then I just was like, going around doing a lot of the talk shows and morning shows over there. And like I remember this one scenario where we went to. It was Good Day Austin actually, and we just arrived, and we were running a bit late. So I was with my publicist, and we sat down, and the lovely gentleman who was about to interview me said to me, "Oh, you just missed Robert Duvall. He just left." And I said, Robert Duvall, the actor. And he's like, yeah, he was here promoting his book, promoting his movie. And I was like, oh my God. Oh gosh. And then it just like all of a sudden imposter syndrome hit me. I'm like, they have real serious people on here, Hollywood actors. What am I doing here? Like I'm going in straight after him. And I went down this rabbit hole of like all of this, your self-esteem, self-worth issues. And I'm like going like this. And I could see my publicist thinking, what is wrong with you? Pull it together. And we only had a matter of seconds. And in that moment, all I wanted to do was run. I kept thinking, I just want to get out of here so much. And I couldn't, I was stuck. And I thought, pull yourself together, Angela. And in that moment, I just thought to myself, okay, there's going to be one woman in this audience that's going to hear my story, and she's going to relate to this, and it's going to maybe help keep her blended family together. Right. Just talk to her, Angela. Just talk to her.
That's right.
And then it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, and we were live. And then I was able to pull myself out of it and then do this interview. But that was something I learned right there and then. It was like this level of resilience that sometimes when you're in those awful situations, when all you want to do is run, you have to pull yourself out of it by thinking, take it off me. How can I make it about someone else? How can I help someone else? And that was like That's a really massive learning curve for me through that whole process. When you want to die and you want to run, you got to hang in there and figure a way out that you can, push through. So that was really, really interesting.
Love that. What a fun story.
Absolutely. I love the backstory of how songs come about, how movies come about, how books come about. So thank you for sharing that with us. So let's talk about burnout.
Yeah.
So a lot of entrepreneurs are constantly grinding, but not seeing any results.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest mindset shift that helped you stop hustling aimlessly and start making real progress?
Yeah. It's a really good question because I think now burnout, it's like, it's all you hear. It's all you hear. And it's all, a lot of people are shifting their lifestyles now to move more into the wellness and, that word hustle. And I know that I've said before, I believe that, we all bought into to be successful, you need to hustle harder. And if it's not working, hustle even harder. Like literally like a little, something on a wheel, like a mouse on a wheel.
Hamster on a wheel.
Hamster on a wheel.
Yeah.
And all you are is going around and round and round. All you want to do is get off, but you can't because you kind of like, you've got to go, you've got to pay the mortgage, you've got to do this, you've got to get the kids.
Yeah.
Like I would start in the morning and do that feeling of like, got to go. Because I had also a son with ADHD. We had to get him ready for school in the morning, especially at a young age. Getting him right through his entire life was exhausting. It was a lot of work, a lot of processes and a lot of systems we had to put in place just to get him through a day. So that was all like big and a lot, and still working all around that. And you see so many women going through that as well in their lives, and men. But, the thing is that I believe the hustling harder stuff really needs to stop. And that's one thing I talk about now. It's not about hustling harder. It's about figuring out how you can stack the odds in your favor, figuring out what you can do to be able to, have a life that's going to give you what you want, meaning and purpose, but without the hustle and the stress and all of that in there. Because we know now that type of hustle and that type of speed, you can only do for a certain period of time. And so many people are getting sick. It's not just burnout. It's like cancers. It's like, there's like serious illnesses from pushing yourself that hard. And even Ariana Huffington says, don't wear burnout and like pushing yourself that hard. Don't wear burnout as a badge of honor, because a lot of people, I've worked all these hours. Don't wear that as a badge of honor. That's not a good thing. It's about, really figuring out what you want, but then finding a way where you can do that without all the hustle and the grind that we're all so conditioned to believe. I mean, if you look at social media these days, sometimes it'll be like, you got to get up at 4 a.m. You got to get up in the 4 a.m. club, and you've got to be this and you've got to be that and you've got to do this. And if you don't tick all these boxes, by the end of the day, you feel like you haven't succeeded. Like you feel like,
Totally.
So I think we have to be very careful of how our mindset is in not buying into that as much as what we used to, and figuring out ways where we can still have a successful life, but not burning ourselves out and sacrificing so much for that.
It's
Amen to
so
that.
it is. It's such a, I'm going to use the word critical balancing act, because it's so easy for us to try to outwork it versus settling in and receiving where we are at that very moment. But it is easier said than done.
Yes, it is easier said than done.
The ones who do end up getting burnt out are the ones that, one, they care, so they're going to work extremely hard. They got which they feel is their priorities in line, but they're sacrificing the unknown, and the unknown is their well-being, is their health.
Yeah, it's the well-being.
I think you have to find the rhythm, a rhythm that works for you. Like you said, Angela, I mean, if you're not a 4 a.m. early riser, maybe you're in the 4 p.m. club. There's a framework that works for you specifically. So your reinvention formula, Angela, it's your coaching program, and it's all about helping women step into alignment. What do you think is the most common mistake you maybe have seen, maybe you've done it, when women are pivoting and reinventing themselves? I love what you said earlier, because I'm a living example, and I know you are. Nothing has been wasted before this point in your life, before the pivot. All of it is applied to go into your future. So tell us a mistake.
I think the mistake is not taking the time to figure out what you really want to do, what aligns with you, what you're here to do, like what's your fullest, bringing out your fullest potential in you. And I think I've figured out that the coaching, the speaking, and all of these things I'm doing now and helping women is really my calling. I believe now I've finally stepped into my life's purpose, but it's taken me to the age of 52 to figure that out. And I think I've known before, in the past, I've done these things that have helped women, but I've kind of like been kind of convinced to move into another area that didn't align with me.
Yeah.
And, and then even just doing the restaurants and things like that, it was like, I knew that it was like, we're going to help my stepson, get him started. We're going to build this business for the family. And I was kind of going to step out. But, 6 years later, like, you can't just do that. You have to kind of, work out ways where you can just, you can't just leave, for instance. So I believe that it's figuring out what aligns with you. And you have to figure that out, not the voices of everybody else telling you what you should be doing, because then you risk stepping into something like I did that didn't necessarily align with me, because you can waste years. You burn through the years, and I think that when you believe, like, if I had my time over, would I have done that? What are the life lessons I've learned here? But it's really about not regretting it and just taking those life lessons into the next chapter now. So the mistake will be, I believe, is just not listening to yourself and going into something else that doesn't necessarily align to you. So our framework does go through that process of taking the time to really figure out what is the next step for you. Because I believe that sometimes people have these skill sets and these values and these amazing experiences and life lessons that are so valuable, but they don't even know that they're valuable. They don't think that, but if they shared them with other people and they taught people what they know, they go, oh, like you know so much more than so many people, and you could help so many people.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That is, it kind of rolls right into what I wanted to ask you in regards to our confidence. So what role would you say confidence plays in the reinvention? And how can someone develop it when they are in the middle of uncertainty? You kind of touched on that a minute ago, but that word confidence.
Yeah. Well, the meaning of confidence is trust. So if you actually looked up the definition of confidence, it's trust. And how do you trust yourself? And the only way you can trust yourself is turning up and committing to yourself and following those things through, meaning putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations outside of your comfort zone, committing to those things. And then when you get through, how do you feel? You feel amazing. You have more confidence. And then you do it again. And then how do you feel? You have more confidence. Like anything in life. It's like teaching a child how to walk. It's like they keep falling down. We don't say, oh, this isn't for you. You haven't been able to walk yet. No, we say, like, you just got to keep trying. It's all part of and they get more confidence and then they keep going. It's like anything in life, and sometimes I believe, and I know I've done this in the past, is that I may not have the confidence in myself to do something, but somebody else has confidence in me that I can do it. I don't see it necessarily, but somebody's breathing belief into me. And we know that when we've been around amazing mentors and coaches, they go, you can do this, and we go, oh, really? You really think I can? And then they go, well, yeah, absolutely. And you go, okay, I'm just going to hang on to their belief for the moment until I build my own. I'm going to hang on to their confidence in myself, because if that's all you got to take the step forward, is hang on to theirs.
That's
for a while until you get your own.
That's so good.
Angela, I've heard that said, you can believe it yourself, and that may take a little time, or you can borrow somebody's belief, or you can buy the belief. Buy a coach, or a consultant, because you've invested in yourself. You respond to that. What do they say? The transformation is in the transaction.
Yes,
because you're so tired of doing, like you said, the hamster wheel thing, just chasing, and you just want a piece of cheese. You just want to get off that thing and try, instead of chasing your tail. So
yes,
in that space, would you say, okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit. You said the word, you feel like you've stepped into your calling. We love what we do as well. And so I know a while ago I had seen the word calling, and just as my brain works in the word way, seeing that word calling, Angela, if you look inside that word, it's all in. It's CALLING. So go all in for yourself, for your calling. And Angela, we're in the 50 club too, and there's something to be said about that. You said it so beautifully. Don't live in regret. If you're living there, think of it as a house and you're just stuck in regret,
Yes.
or you need to unpack your bags, people, and
Yeah.
get out of that
Right.
hat and
Right.
step into your
Absolutely.
future. So
That's
if
so good,
somebody is
Tonya.
listening right now and they want to, what you do have done so beautifully is reinvent themselves, but they're thinking, I don't know, it's probably too late. I've been a CEO
Mm-hmm.
executive,
Mm-hmm.
or I've owned this business for 6 years. I can't just let it go. What's the one thing you would say to them?
I think you've touched on it about regret. I think that's extremely important because I would say this to you, and I've just heard it recently on another podcast where he said he thought to himself, if I stay here, I got to think to myself, how many more Christmases do I have left? How many more birthdays do I really have left
Yeah.
if I'm lucky? And he thought about 18, 20, and he said, if you put it like that, 20 Christmases left. Okay. Do I want to be here in at the end of these 20 Christmases? Am I going to be happy? Am I going to have some regrets if I don't do something and pivot or change right now? So I think that's the first question you need to ask yourself, is that, and what are you sacrificing? Like, what are you giving up? Are you giving up your joy, your happiness, your what you were born to do? Like, there's something inside you, a knowing that, or a calling that that's there, that kind of niggles, and you think no. But it's like, you have to, if that's what you've got, and a lot of people won't do it, but it's really about, everybody's different. And I think things are shifting. I'm really seeing it now where people are focusing more on what they
Mm.
want to do, what their full potential is. And you don't want the regret. I really believe that it's something that you don't want. You want to be able to say that you lived your life to the full potential, and you achieved what you wanted, what you were born to do, you came to this earth to do.
So good.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, Angela, I'm going to come after you a little bit here.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig here a little bit. What's next for you? Any exciting projects or upcoming events that we and our listeners should know about?
Yeah. Well, I'm just about to launch a 6-month group coaching program for women. And this is for the women in their 40s and 50s who are in this position of wanting to reinvent themselves, start something new, not really sure where to start or what to do. And we take them through this whole program, and we literally breathe the belief into them they can do it. We get them to take the time to figure out exactly what they want. And then each week they're accountable to follow through on the things that are scary, that they're not necessarily wanting to do, and to get them to that point. And so after the 6 months, they're on their way. And I really believe 6 months is a really good time, because it's just short enough to like get people off their butt and sort of say, hey, I've got to make the decisions like now. I can't be like hiding behind this. I don't have a year. I've got 6 months. And, each month you want to be able to say, I achieved that, because I think also they say the happiest people in the world are the people who have progress, not perfection, progress. If you can just do a little bit of progress each day, and at the end of the week and at the end of the month, and after 6 months, you look back and you go, wow, look how far I came. I gave it
Yes.
a good shot. Now, there's your next base, your next foundation. What are we going to do the next 6 months? And then it evolves from there. But the key is just getting started. So that's what we do. We take them through that whole process of just getting started, and then, moving on to there. But, I'm doing that and speaking as well. So they're my other things that I'm doing, talking on being resourceful, being resilient, being, working on reinventing yourself and the frameworks around that. So, yeah, it's an exciting year. I'm finally just completely just doing this now, which I love. And I love coming and meeting people like you. I mean, Tonya and Kevin, you guys are just such an awesome couple. When I first met you, I was so, just so connected with you. You're such beautiful, couple, and such lovely people, and you do such great work, and you share your experiences, and you got so much wisdom and just kind people. And by doing this platform that you have, you're able to inspire a lot of people to share their stories as well. So I just want to acknowledge you both for that as well.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Angela. That's
Yes.
a
Thank you.
that's a beautiful gift that you just said to us. And really,
You're
we
welcome.
do love highlighting people and
Yeah.
businesses and just showing the world that you can conquer the next thing. You're more than
Absolutely.
a conqueror. You can pivot into purpose. There's nothing tying you down except yourself. So,
Yeah.
Angela, I just want to say thank you for being on this podcast with us. And if people want to connect with you, we're going to have all this in the show notes. But Angela, if you could just give a breakdown of how they can connect with you, tell the name of your book again, and we'll have all of that in our show notes. And then also how they can join your program.
Well, my book is called The Second Wives Guide, and I also have an Instagram following called I Am Angela Vassallo. So it's pretty easy. And yeah, I have a podcast called Harmony in the Hustle. So it's all about finding your harmony inside the hustle.
I like it. Hey, Harmony, Nashville, Tennessee,
Yes, and I'll be over there one day, guys. I can't wait. I told you before that my husband sings Johnny Cash, and he's always like, we've got to get to Nashville.
Yes.
And so we will definitely be heading over there very soon, and love to catch up with you guys when we're there as well.
Yes, we'll take you to, we don't go there much, but we'll take you to Broadway, downtown Music City. And it really, it has a lot of energy.
As long as you sing for me, Tonya. You're going to sing for me?
Well, I probably won't be doing that, but but I would love to hear your husband sing. But no, it's a cool place to visit. And it would be our honor to take you around and show you the town. And you got to wear your cowgirl boots. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I love that. And a cowgirl hat.
And your cowgirl hat, I'll wear it with you.
Yeah.
Kev may not put a cowboy hat on. I'm just going to tell you like it is. He'll put a golf hat, but not a cowboy hat.
I'll put a golf hat on, but you're going to have to pay me to put a cowboy hat on it.
We could do it. We could do it, Angela.
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, if you have loved this conversation with Angela today, make sure to like and subscribe this podcast. Leave us a 5-star review and share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. Your next chapter starts right now. Hit play and let's go. Peace in.
Peace out.
Kevin
and Tonya Stout. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
So how many of you are ready to conquer your business, your income, and your life? Hit subscribe and join the Conquer Club, and let's start winning together.
Peace in.
Peace out.
Kevin and Tonya Stout.